Hey there, Alan Mathews here. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about tone production on the classical guitar. Tone production is a pretty huge part of playing classical guitar. It's one of the things that separates classical guitar from steel string guitar, electric guitar, all these other type of things, is the techniques that we have to use to actually get the different sounds. So before we actually get into the howls and all that, of how to do everything, I just want to demonstrate a little bit of what I'm talking about with the difference between different sounds. So I'm just going to play an A minor chord here. The difference in tone quality is that we could have versus, listen. There's different sounds that we can make depending on how we actually produce the tone. There's also, we can go really metallic, we can go really dark and woolly. There's all these different things that we can do to make the sound that we want for the particular moment in the music that we want to portray. So let's talk a couple of ways of actually doing this. For one thing, it's going to take some decent nails to actually have a really nice warm tone. And you want to be able to take care of your nails. I've done other videos on nails, and I will point to those in the links below, and you can go look at those. So I won't go too deeply into nails here, but just know that keeping your nails freshly polished and sandpapered and everything, some kind of piece of, sandpaper, keeping that near your practice space and keeping your nails kind of glassy finished can help a whole lot to make nice sounds. Now, what I want to talk about most here is the angle at which you are striking the strings. So if you go very perpendicular to the strings, at a right angle to the strings, you get a very bright sound. You get a very ding. It's very bright. It's oftentimes very thin. As you increase the angle like this of which you go to the string, so go from more this way to drop your hand down around like this, going to come more from underneath the strings. This is more of like a lute technique. They actually really come from underneath the strings, but if you actually increase your angle that you go, then it's going to make a warmer sound. Also, I want to just point out too that this is using a good technique where you're actually closing your hand and pushing through the string as opposed to plucking up on the string, which is going to produce a not so good sound. Whenever you pluck and pull up on a string like this, it's called bicycling. When this knuckle pops up like this, when you play, it's called bicycling, and that's going to make a bad sound. What you want to do is push through the strings, where if you touched your knuckle, and there's other videos on this, my arpeggio series is all about this, and the fundamentals of movement, things like that. I have videos for all that, and I'll link to them below. But assuming that you are actually pushing through the strings, and that you've got decent nails, then you can do a lot with the angle by which you are approaching the string. Now there's another way as well of tone production, and that is where you decide to play along this spectrum. Generally, over the hole is going to be your most versatile, beautiful sound. If you go really close to the bridge, it gets very bright. Even if you go very obliquely to the strings, at an angle to the strings, it's still going to be kind of bright. Same thing if you play over the hole, especially over the back half of the hole. That's typically going to be your sweet spot on most guitars as far as an all-around good sound, to where there's enough richness and warmth to make it beautiful, but then also enough punch and brightness to actually cut and not sound muddled. Now, you can experiment playing back here, and certain moments in music do need to be brighter, and you can move back off of the hole, or they need to be really kind of warm and dark, and you could actually move over the neck all the way up here and play up here. There could be times whenever you did that as well. And those are the main ways of producing tone on on the guitar. The thumb is the exact same thing. The more perpendicular you are, the brighter, the more of an angle. Now, there's one more thing, and that is to do with rest strokes versus free strokes. Everything I've been talking about so far has to do with free strokes, which is where the finger comes into the air after it plays. Now, there's also such thing as a rest stroke, where you actually rest on the next string when you play like this. And pretty much the same is true there as well. If you go perpendicular, it will be brighter. If you go more of an angle, it will also be warmer in the exact same way. The thumb, as you do rest strokes with the thumb, you might notice less difference with the angle. It still is there, but it's not. It's still there, but it's not terribly evident, depending on the angle that you go. A lot of Spanish players I've seen go very perpendicular with the thumb and really dig down into it. But they oftentimes also want a really punchy, bright sound that's going to cut through all the noise, the din of the party around them. So they'll go that way. So a few ideas to think about when looking at tone production. It's a study and it's a practice. The biggest part of it probably is nails. And if you don't have nails, or if you choose to go without nails, well then your tone problems have just gotten a whole lot simpler, because you're not going to have the variety of tone that you have with nails, but it'll be a whole lot simpler to get a nice consistent tone. Because that's one of the things that we're looking for in a piece. If we have a melody, something like this, we don't want one note being really bright and the next note being really warm. We don't want things popping out weirdly. We want it to be one line. And so consistency between the different fingers, consistency between the different notes, the different strings sound different. It also sounds different down here than it does up here. The instrument has a different quality, a different tone quality in the different places that you play. So there's a lot that goes into it. But as you continue to practice and as you continue to grow with this study, then you'll get much better grasp on what to do when. The main thing now is that you make sure that you're playing over the hole, and that if you want to, check out my article on nails, videos on nails, and then think about getting some nails. All right, I hope that helps. Please subscribe to this channel. Go over to classicalguitarshed.com and see what you can find over there. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.